My name is Carrie Rahill, and I have taught We the People, and I am now currently with iCivics, which is a website.
My name is Michael Leeming. I am a law student at George Washington University, and I did this program when I was in high school.
My name is Julia Pergola. I am a law student here at Georgetown, and I have taught law to high school students for the last 2 years.
Hello, judges. As you know, we are representing Unit 2, and my name is Tanisha Tate.
My name is Amanda Jackson.
My name is Sean Rivers.
My name is Kwang Gao.
My name is David Train.
My name is Joshua Miller.
Well, welcome. So with Unit 2, let me go ahead and put out the question to you. In Federalist 48, James Madison argued that in a representative republic, the legislative branch is the most powerful and the most likely to abuse its power. Do you agree or disagree? Why? What evidence can you offer to support your position?
If men were angels, wrote James Madison in Federalist 51, no government would be necessary.
If angels were to govern men, he continued, neither external nor internal controls on government would be necessary.
The primary way the Constitution requires the government to control itself is through a system of checks and balance and separation of powers. Therefore, as Madison put it, we must both enable the government to control the people and oblige it to control itself. Although all three branches of government are powerful and must be watched carefully, we agree with Madison that the legislative branch is the most powerful because of its imprecise limits placed on Congress by the Constitution. However, it is not likely to be abusive because it holds discretion.
The legislative branch is most powerful because of the necessary and proper clause, which allows Congress to make laws that they deem necessary to carry out their implied powers in Article 1, Section 8. As Madison explained in Federalist 44, enumerating every possible power Congress would need in order to carry out its duty would have been tedious and ineffective. So, this clause was added to give them the means to reach constitutional appropriate ends. While we agree that this clause is necessary for good government, it also gives us great concern about the wide scope of power Congress has in its disposal.
Congress even has the power over state commerce. In the Gibbons versus Alden case, the Supreme Court declared that Congress had the right to regulate interstate commerce. That means that states cannot trade without Congress dictating that straight trades among them. This power has allowed Congress to regulate civil rights and even domestic violence, even though those are not explicit powers granted by the Constitution.
In actuality, there are only a few limits placed by the Constitution on the branches, but they are only as clear as the other branches interpret them. The executive branch has energy during times of emergency and war, but is limited by Congress in a couple of ways. First, Congress controls the budget, and the president can't act without money. Secondly, the president must receive the advice and consent of the Senate pursuant to Article 2, Section 2, to make treaties and to appoint officials to offices. Although the system of checks and balances was meant to have ambition counteract ambition, as Madison explained in Federalist 51, Congress' ambition seems to be checked less than the other branches.
Although we agree that the legislature is the most powerful, we also agree that Congress can be checked and kept within its proper balance through the vigilance and involvement of the people themselves. Philosophically, the people are a natural check on Congress' power because of the social contract theory, through which the government was given power from the people to execute and protect their rights. The people also have the power to vote in the election, use the media, protest, petition, and donate their time and money to the campaigns of the candidates they prefer.
The fact that the Congress represents the people whenever Congress makes the laws that people think are unnecessary and do not represent their interests, the people can and have voted to make a change. Recently, in the 2010 elections, we have observed a major shift in political parties in the House from Democrats to majority Republicans. This shows that people even change their political ideologies, or that more Republicans decided to vote that day because they felt Democrats were not meeting their interests.
According to FDR, the only sure bulwark of continuing liberty is a government strong enough to protect the interests of the people, and the people strong enough and well enough informed to maintain its sovereignty over its government. concern about legislative branch being too powerful is still valid today. Therefore, citizens should check the Congress in order to make sure that their power are limited.
You guys mentioned vigilance and the people a lot, and I think that's great. What role does education have in this vigilance?
Actually, in in fact, that the rate of education, if the people have more education, more people would be involved more in the political, and the education is important to all people, and they should get the education in order that more people would have chance to involve in the political.
Well, the first word that I thought about when you said education was school.
Mhm.
And in fact, school is one of the main places where students are informed about their rights and the things that they can do, how to get involved with the government. So when I think about education, I think about a place where students will be informed about their rights, about how legislative have boundaries that they cannot cross to infringe on people's rights. So that's the first thing I think about.
I think a more informed society about the government is well better off, in the sense of, if you know the policies that people are implementing instead of the vanity of the campaign they're running, then you would have a better chance of receiving the policy decisions you actually wanted instead of hearing false promises.
How do you think that the sort of rise in use of presidential executive orders has changed the sort of balance of power in between Congress and the president?
Can you repeat your question?
How do you think the rise in use of executive orders, the president being able to say, as long as it doesn't necessarily require any money from Congress, that people should, do such and such a thing? How does that change the balance of power in between Congress and the president?
Although the president have some power, some special power, such as the energetic power. However, the president need the consent of the government in order to enforce the laws or tell what the people can do. But I think it's like they need the consent of the government so that the government can shape the executive branch.
There are still ways that Congress does have a check on the executive branch, even without the fact that that the president need to act upon certain things with money, like the veto. If the bills like that the legislative pass, they can still do things without money. Like if the legislature was to pass a bill, then the president can veto it, but he still has they still have to be checked upon each other, even though that's a thing that they can act upon without money.
More of a sense, the legislative branch allocates funds. They provide funds to specific bureaucracies and not necessarily the people. So the people going and doing things that they want to do without Congress is, good if they had the money to do it.
Do you think people today still see, like James Madison did, that the legislative branch is the strongest branch?
I think more so today that in the eyes of the citizens, they would see the executive branch as extending their power, because in the recent years, the executive branch has decided to engage in conflicts and send troops over to the Middle Eastern region to conduct business, whereas it has been the legislature's decision, I guess, to condone it by staying out of it or not seeing it as a conflict or war.
And recently in the election, it kind of shows that the people have now found a way to control the government, to control Congress. They have found a way to get a catch on their power because they have made the change in Congress from changing the House from Democrats to Republicans. So that shows that the people actually have now, they found a way to control the power of Congress to best represent their interests.
Also, some current example on January 24th, in Capitol building there is the protest of the it's called March for Life. It shows that the people like get involved with the Congress, and yes, they try to make change.
How has recently? Oh, okay.
Well, round of
Okay.
applause, first of all. Good job, guys. Relax. I really thought you guys came out very strong with your opening statements. I thought you guys did a very good job with that. I also thought you did your use of the 2010 elections and the results was great. That's a concrete example that we're able to understand, and you can see that, you know, the power of the legislative branch is a big deal, but the people still have that input into it. So I thought that was really good.
I think it was also very clear that you guys knew a lot of the history, and you put in a lot of historical examples to make your point about how the history was still valid today, and here's why. And I thought that was really good and showed how informed you were about the issues.
You also did a great job with contemporary examples like Congress not doing anything to, since Congress has the power to declare war, and we've been in a lot of wars recently, but they haven't actually bothered to declare that them standing by makes, you know, the president stronger. That was a very good example. And also the anti-abortion rally thing really does show that people still look to Congress rather than just blame the president for everything, which I thought that was a great example.
And your guys' understanding of the importance of education and creating a knowledgeable voting public, you guys are examples of that, and I'm really glad to see you guys doing what you're doing. Very impressive.
Thank you.
And she already mentioned it, you know, once, but the whole split quote at the beginning where, you know, you started and I think she finished the quote, that was awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well done.
Okay.
Is that it?